Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jesse. Jesse Whitson. Jesse James Whitson.
Do you know what you're doing in this video?
Yes, I am imagining myself bowling. I'm gonna get a strike. Just wait. Yep, there it is.
Okay. So, for those of you that are new to my channel, this is the driver of the family, the only driver of the family, the father of the family, the breadwinner of the family. And I'm just here to take pictures and videos. So, I thought it'd be interesting for you to tell everyone, the whole 13 viewers or 13 subscribers I have on our channel, how exactly you got your prosthetic legs. What happened? Start from the beginning.
How far in the beginning?
Let's talk about the 24 hours before you started getting sick.
24 hours before I was getting sick.
Where were you?
I was at the bowling alley.
Which bowling alley?
Lava Lanes.
Where is that?
That is in Bend, Oregon.
Should we avoid it?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I still go there.
Yes. Okay. All right. So you're bowling, and then what happened next?
It was the very last night of league for Wednesday night bowling. That night I got paid. Got handed my pin money. And I was bowling with my dad on the same league as him. Actually on the same team as him. And so that night we were talking about meeting up, going to state.
And where was state located that year?
That year, pretty sure it was in Salem. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It could be anywhere. It could be Salem, Roseburg, somewhere in Oregon. So we were gonna carpool, my dad and I. So I went home. I drove home. Went to bed. And I woke up. Standard night, except there was one small thing that was slightly different. Alright, let me rephrase it. That wasn't small. I was black and blue from head to toe.
Like, so you just woke up and you were just black and blue suddenly?
Yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, everything seemed fine.
But you were black and blue. How is that fine?
Well, I felt fine. I figured maybe I was beating the crap out of myself at night. I had this weird little night of bowling, just take a nice little swing and smack into my arm.
Okay, all right.
At the time, I was throwing roughly about 19 miles per hour, so it was fairly possible.
Okay.
So I got up, did my thing, did my routine, hanging out inside by myself. And chilling out. And then next thing I know, I started losing sense of time. I didn't know what time I was in. It seemed like it was dark outside. I couldn't tell which day it was.
Okay, so let's back up. What day of the week was your bowling league night?
My bowling league at the time was Wednesday night.
And then when was the bowling state bowling tournament taking place? Like when we were going to leave?
We were planning on leaving Saturday morning.
Okay, all right.
Really early Saturday morning.
So you woke up supposedly Thursday morning, not feeling great in black and blue, but you were fine with it because you felt fine.
Yeah, I felt fine.
Nothing weird with waking up black and blue suddenly in your weird mind.
No.
Okay, all right. So you started losing track of time.
Yeah, so I started losing track of time and thought maybe I was starting to get sick, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I should better, take some vitamin C, get some more sleep, make sure I'm eating fairly healthy and decent.
Go.
And I woke up the next day and I just flat out couldn't move. Like all muscle was not enough. I couldn't seem to walk. Yeah, I just lost all muscle contraption. I could barely. It was a struggle to lift my arms. lift my legs. I was struggling to get to the bathroom.
Pause.
I flat out was struggling to have any kind of muscles that would actually work. Being so I had a hard time recollecting time, apparently I was messaging Facebook all over my phone.
What do you mean by messaging Facebook?
Like I would be messaging posts on Facebook, like, "Hey, what's going on? Does this look like kind of weird to you guys?" And I don't feel very good. I don't think I'm gonna make it to the state tournament, and such and such. Eventually, my sister messaged me, and I guess something happened. I don't remember. I'd have to double check with her. I think she video called me, and I just looked horrible. And so she was planning on driving down to come get me to take me to the hospital.
How far away was she?
She was about 30 miles.
Okay.
And then shortly after I got off the phone with my sister, my dad called and I said, "Hey, you got to find someone else to bowl for me in state. I'm not going to be able to make it. I can't move. I can't even throw a ball right now." And so my dad drove over, and by the time that he got to my house, he took one look at me, and I think he basically cussed up a storm. He had to carry me out of the house. It was that bad. I couldn't move at all. He took me to the nearest hospital, which was the Redmond St. Charles, and after checking me in, before the doctors could even look at me, I blacked out.
Okay, what is the next thing you do remember after that?
The next thing I remember after that was actually being in the ambulance.
Was it a road ambulance or a helicopter ambulance?
It was a road ambulance, and the only thing I remember is he goes, "We're getting you to the Bend Hospital as fast as we possibly can. There's not a stage faster than what we have you in." I think they call it like a stage 3 or something. And then I blacked out again.
Okay. And then what's the thing you remember after that?
Well, that's just it. The thing I remember after that isn't anything real. I remember being in a state of permanent dream.
Okay.
Basically hallucinating to the point that doctors were wondering what the heck was wrong with me. They thought I was on drugs. They thought that I was taking hallucinogens. They thought, just everything possible, that it was all my own doing.
So how long were you at the Bend Hospital before someone figured out what was wrong with you, and how did that get to that point? Like, did someone say, "Well, I know him, he's not a drug addict," or what? Like, what happened?
But my entire family was there at the time, and they were all saying, "No, he doesn't do drugs. He's pretty much a straight arrow."
Okay.
And as far as how long it took him to figure out what was actually going on after multiple misdiagnoses, it took him about 2 weeks.
So when you say misdiagnosis, what were other things the doctors thought were wrong with you, other than you taking drugs?
They still didn't believe it, so they actually did blood work on me and some other things. And keep in mind, this is all stuff that I've heard from my family members, because I was blacked out through the whole time. I don't remember much of it.
So, okay, so you got there, you got to the hospital, you were in the emergency room, or the ambulance, and you were in stage 3, they told you, and then you're in dream state. What's the next thing you actually do remember from your own memories and not from other people telling you?
The next thing I remember was probably about a month and a half later.
So you don't remember anything for real, other than what memories your family has told you?
No.
Was that, and so a month and a half later, where were you? Like, Were you in
Month and a
ICU? Were you in a loony bin? What was going on?
A month and a half later, I was up on I was sent to my own special room, which was a recovery room, which is, at the time, I was a floor 3.
Okay.
And depending on what state you're in, depending on what floor you got sent to. So I was in a recovery room, which is basically you just hang out in the room as you slowly get better.
Okay.
During that time, I found out my mother told me I died a few times while I was in there.
So let's go back to your mom. So your mom was with you at the hospital the whole time?
No.
But she worked at the hospital at that time, or did she not?
Not at that time.
Okay. So your mom told you die a couple of times. How did you handle that information?
Was more or less surprised. I was like, okay, I died. I don't know if it's because I was hallucinating the whole time that I don't remember what happened during that time, or if I took a state of extreme hallucination.
Okay. What else did your mom tell you happened during that month and a half?
She told me that 2 of them I died right in front of her. Like, she came in to visit and check up on me, and I just died right in front of her. And after looking at a few things and seeing how it was connected, she came to the conclusion that it was the food that was being fed to me.
What was wrong with the food? Hospital food is designed to make you get better, isn't it?
Well, I was on a feeding tube, which is pretty standard for most people, except my body doesn't process corn or potatoes properly.
Okay, and?
I just, at extreme doses, I tend to bleed out of my ears and have other issues that happen to me.
Okay. So the food was based in corn and potatoes?
Yeah, it was based in corn and potatoes. Once they got me connected to a food sources that didn't have that in it, I actually stopped dying and actually started recovering. During the process of dying, though, I found out that I was signed up for a heart transplant, a kidney transplant, a liver transplant. I mean, I was signed up for the works.
Hold on. All right, I just want to interrupt this little storytelling thing that I'm doing right now. And, I've heard a lot of these stories from him and his sister and his brothers and his dad. Not so much his mom when I met her. This is the first time in almost 5 years I've heard about the heart transplant part of the story. So, let's continue, shall we? All right, Jess, let's go. So you found out that during the course of dying, you were put on the heart transplant, lung transplant, kidney transplant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so after they found out I no longer needed it, I didn't have to be put on it, because once I actually started getting food that didn't have corn or potatoes, everything just magically started working again. All the stuff that they thought that they had listed down as no longer working just worked.
Okay. Pause. Continue.
Also, while I was in there, my sister told me that she came in and saw me at the ICU, and it actually sounds like me, but she says she walked in the room and I had the biggest grin in my mouth, on my face, and with all these tubes shoved down me, she's like, "Oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing in the world." It was like, "Ah, yeah!"
Okay.
And then my mother said while I was in there, I had the most optimistic outlook on the thing.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So you woke up from your dream state, hallucination state after 6.5 weeks. What was the state of those at that time?
The state of those, they were black and shriveled up.
Your legs?
Yeah, no, not just my legs. I mean, my arms, my legs, my fingers, everything.
Okay.
After that point, they started waiting to be recovered. My entire blood vessels were shriveled up to the point that I was freezing all the time. They had my room set for 95 degrees. I had to have a heating blanket on. They had to go through and get freshly heated blankets and lay them over the top of me because I was just flat out cold. There was nothing that they could do that could actually keep me warm. As they tried to restore blood flow to the rest of my body so it could be healed. After about another half month, they came up to me and wanted to know if I'd be down for doing a trial, something that's never been done before. They wanted to see how the oxygen tanks, the hyperbaric chambers, would actually affect as far as the healing process of my body. Being how that they didn't think that I could heal anymore on my own. So they had to sign some papers with that and get it transferred over. They had to get a whole medical team to lift me up out of bed onto a mobile table to transfer me to the...
Do you mean transfer you to a gurney so they can transfer you down the hall to the hyperbaric chamber?
Yeah, but except the hyperbaric chamber was in a different building.
Okay.
So they had to transfer me to... an ambulance and to get me to the next location. At the time, these hyperbaric chambers had just arrived to Bend. So this wasn't just a new process, this was also a new device for Bend itself. And so from there, it was pretty like luxurious. My only goal was to just sit inside there and watch movies, and I got to pick out whatever movie, which was cool. And the whole process required I sit there through the entire movie. So I was there for a pretty extensive amount of time, and a couple weeks at most, and it was almost daily. After I got back and I felt that the hyperbaric chambers had done all that they could do.
So they did help?
Yeah, they helped quite a bit. In fact, I got to recover a lot more of my fingers than what I could have lost. And I would have lost a lot more of my legs than what I would have lost as well. Another doctor came up. Keep in mind I had 9 doctors, all specialists in different locations. And he came up to me and goes, "So, this is about it as far as what can be recovered as far as your legs. We'd have to look at cutting them off and getting you signed up for some prosthetics." And he was trying to be as very sympathetic about it and everything, and my only response was, "Sounds good. So when can I start bowling again? Because I got a tournament coming up here soon."
Wait, so at this point you hadn't realized you missed your tournament?
I hadn't missed my tournament as far as I was concerned. I didn't know what day it was.
So the state tournament that was, let's say, 3 months prior to this, you still hadn't clicked in your head you missed it.
It still hadn't clicked in my head. I missed it. My dad had to break the news to me that I missed it.
How did you take that?
I was like, all right, well, that's fine. I was more interested in nationals anyways. He didn't break it to me that I had missed nationals yet.
Okay. All right.
Which was in Reno at the time.
All right.
So I signed up. They put me under. They put me to sleep and everything. Got me all done, wrapped up. I didn't feel any pain because, well, my legs were so shriveled up that it was less painful than the freezing cold I was currently feeling. It was, they said I probably had the equivalency of extreme frostbite as far as where I was.
Okay, so let's, so you woke up from surgery. How'd that go?
I woke up from surgery. Everything was fine. A few days later, a very awesome guy came up to me, and I didn't know it at the time, but he was going to be my prosthetic doctor. He was going to develop the prosthetics and gave me and was just chatting up with me and talking with me. He eventually brought me over a movie because he found out that I hadn't watched it before. I heavily regret not watching it.
What movie?
It was The Big Lebowski. I hadn't seen it before.
Oh, okay.
And so he brought it over for me to watch, and I got to watch it in the hospital. So I was very grateful for him for that. And I could not believe, for as much of into bowling as I was, that I hadn't seen it. And then a few days later, and after watching it and him constantly coming to visit, he handed me a pamphlet, was showing me what it is I would be looking at. I started asking him some questions, like, is it possible to have multiple prosthetics? Is it possible to have multiple different designs? Or what is the process of the whole thing? And so he started explaining it to me a bit more, and I started going through it, and he goes, so you can also pick out what height you want to be at. So if you want to be taller, you want to be a little bit shorter, it is quite possible that we could do that. I'm like, wait, so you're telling me I could be 8 foot tall and prepare myself for a next basketball champion, or I can set myself up to be 4 foot tall? He's like, well, I gotta have room to be able to have prosthetics made for whatever you were cut at. But in theory, yes. So I started looking through the pamphlet a bit more, seeing the different kinds, what they were able to do, and all that stuff. And I came across to this one that had high heels, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh my gosh, you mean one day I could be like, have all these high heels and everything and just be around it sort of like and have it for like acting purposes, or I could just, be my regular self? He goes, well, in reality, yeah. Hey Mom, check this out, I got some pretty legs. Eventually I did the whole thing, narrowed it down, and thought about it. And after looking at the things, I came to the conclusion that I was going to get some heavy duty pair of legs because I was going to go back to bodybuilding because I lost a ton of weight in the hospital. I lost roughly about 80 pounds in the hospital. So I went from 160 to 80.